Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today we are talking about Grubhub gig review. So I've worked quite a number of gig apps out there right now, and during the course of my career, I guess as a gig worker, one of the apps I've tried out is Grubhub. So with that said, I want to go over what is Grubhub, what it takes to really be a Grubhub driver, and all the details you must know about it before hopping on to Grubhub. But before we do any of that, let's go over a few disclaimers. The content of this video does not contain, is never intended to be legal, business, financial, tax, or health advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is advised that you conduct your own research and consult with qualified professionals before applying anything you find online. I also want to be clear that every market is different, and what I experience in my market may not apply to yours. So with that said, let's get started. What is Grubhub? Grubhub is actually one of the OG food delivery apps, regardless of their size. They used to be the biggest player in the game. They weren't even a gig app initially. They used to just be a website for menus for restaurants in your area. They became a food delivery service after people kept complaining that it wasn't available. Then they added it on as an option, and the rest is history. At their peak, they were the best gig app to be part of. They were the gold standard. And now they're part of the big three food delivery apps. Sign up requirements. In order to sign up to be a Grubhub driver, you need to be at least 18 years or older, or 21 or older if you live in Las Vegas. I don't know why there's such a distinction, but it's a thing. You have to own an iPhone with iOS 11 or higher, or an Android with 5.0 or higher. And you must have a data plan that goes with it, which honestly, I think that's redundant. I feel like if you own an iPhone at this point in time, you're going to have a data plan. You need to have a checking account so you can have your money direct deposited to you, or even fast paid to you, depending on what you want. If you're using a car, you need to have an original valid driver's license. If you're 19 years old or more, you need to have 2 years of a valid driver's license. If you're 18 years or older, you need to have 1 year of a driver's license, which it seems like if you're a teenager, you're gonna be looked at with a little bit more scrutiny, but that's to be expected of any young driver. You also need to have auto insurance, and yes, they're gonna ask you for a photo of the insurance policy itself, and I'm sure your name needs to be on it, but they're only going to ask that the one time. If you're using a bike instead of driving a car, you need to have one of the three following. You need to have a valid state ID, a valid state driver's license, or a valid passport, US or global, it doesn't matter. Now, they don't say this, but you also need to pass a background check as well. And honestly, unless you unalive somebody, you're probably gonna pass that without an issue. A day in the life of a Grubhub driver. So when you're ready to hop onto Grubhub to receive orders, you go from unavailable to taking orders, so that way you notify them you're ready to receive orders. Now, you probably would be in your starting zone already, or you could be like me and live just outside of it, so you might have to commute a little bit. Now, I know what you're thinking if you've been on DoorDash and are thinking about Grubhub too. No, the zones are not next to each other, and no, it doesn't make sense. Just because your zip code is in the zone you applied for doesn't mean the starting point is where you live. However, you don't necessarily need to be in the starting point to receive orders, although you will have more priority if you do end up in that starting zone. And of course, when you receive an order, you're gonna hear that cowbell, and you're gonna see the amount the order is worth, the number of miles it'll take to get there. You will see where the restaurant is and where the customer is, but you won't necessarily see a route, which is so confusing to me. But it is what it is. But you could always use Google Maps when you hit the navigate button to actually go there. You have 90 seconds to decide whether or not you want to accept or decline the order. You will not be penalized for not accepting orders, but you won't have access to some of the higher programs there either. So that's a thing in itself. Those higher programs aren't that great, but nevertheless, it won't be available to you unless you get your ratings up, but that's for another video. Let's say you end up accepting placing the order, though. You pick up the order from the restaurant, you tell them who you're picking it up from, you deliver it to the customer. It's really self-explanatory. Their pay model is rather standard, base pay plus tips, and tips make the majority of the money you will be making on the platform. Now, there is a minimum payment you will get per hour if you have a high acceptance rate, but I don't necessarily say you should be going for that. Promos will be calculated as missions separately from the orders themselves, and in a lot of cases, I don't even approach those promos for the most part. The promos are rather gimmicky in themselves. They're branded as missions. A lot of times, it's like you'll earn X number of dollars for completing X number of orders without skipping any. There are times where it's just like complete one order, get this, but just stick with normal orders and don't chase promos. And missions are calculated separately from your normal pay every time. Now, there are a few other notable points that I do want to make about Grubhub. No hidden tips. This is probably one of, if not the best benefit of Grubhub, and it's really sad that I have to say it like that. There is no hidden tip system. What you see is what you get. If the tip goes up after, it's because the customer actually was cool enough to tip you more on the app. It's not because they were hiding it from you. There's also no tip baiting either, which is also awesome. And you know what? It's sad that out of all of the gig apps, Grubhub is the one with the most transparency and is doing the worst out of the big three, but more on that later. Rating system is weird, but not bad. So the rating system on Grubhub is a very weird system, but it's not necessarily a bad system. And let me go over what the ratings are really quick. You have offer commitment, which is orders you accept and complete, and they calculate that as a single rating. So declining an order is going to bring down that rating. Accepting an order and not completing is going to bring down that rating. And it's not like unassigning is weighed more than declining. They were worth just as much. But honestly, that's kind of fine with me because I'm a believer that if you accept an order, you should just follow through on it. Then there is on-time arrival at the merchant, which is kind of weird because I would figure you cared more about being on time to the customer than you would be on time to the merchant. They don't even have a rating for on time to the customer. And schedule commitment. How often are you online and in the starting zone of your scheduled block? Now, it doesn't mean you're taking orders and you're outside of the zone. You have to be taking orders and in the zone. Now, this can be a bit challenging when you either need to commute to your starting zone or you're multi-apping. Because if you're on an order and the order sends you outside of the starting zone, your block is starting relatively soon, you're gonna end up missing out on the scheduled block. And the scheduled block gives you more priority to receive orders. But yeah, scheduling commitment is something that you get rated on as well. This rating system isn't bad, it's just very different from what I'm used to on other platforms. Now, there is a contract violation system, but there is no customer rating system. It's not like you're getting 5 stars or 4 stars or thumbs up or thumbs down or anything like that. It's just if you're violating the contract or you're not. That simple. Metro areas seem to have it best. I keep hearing from other drivers, if you live in a metro area, you will have the best time on Grubhub. I just haven't seen it. I've never lived in a metro area. I have never really been doing gig work in a metro area, so I really wouldn't have that firsthand experience. So I will just pass that info on. Order frequency is rather low and inconsistent. So near me, order frequency on Grubhub is just not that much, especially if you're comparing it to DoorDash and Uber Eats. And while it is growing, and sometimes it seems like other apps just outshine it in every way. Which is sad because this app as an internal system is probably one of my favorites. I'm not dealing with unnecessary contract violations. I'm not getting customer ratings on things outside of my control. I'm not trying to figure out how much I'm actually getting paid from these orders by figuring out the hidden tip system because it clearly doesn't have that. And it's just as simple as do your work and get paid. If they could just get the order volume up to a consistent frequency, that would be great. That would literally make the app stand above most others. Scheduling blocks gives you priority. They do have a priority system to where you can schedule yourself into a block, but the blocks are sometimes impossible to get. Yes, they do give you priority to receive more orders, but that doesn't mean those orders are very good. But I will say, if you can schedule yourself in, do it. This app went downhill. Like I said, this used to be the best food delivery service out there for gig workers because of all of the reasons I've said above. And honestly, between them not accelerating in marketing and DoorDash going super hard on marketing and doing better with it, they lost a lot of market share, and that's kind of upsetting to say. And because of that, there aren't as many orders for everyone, which is why I can't give you an actual income expectation, because some weeks I do okay with it and some weeks I do absolutely nothing. But then again, I also multi-app pretty hard in comparison to the average gig worker, so take that for what it is. All in all, this app is far from its prime. Final verdict. I hate to say it. I really hate to say it. But at least for me in my market, Grubhub is just not an app you can depend on as a main app. However, it does work really well as a app you can be on call with, something you can multi-app with, and goes really well with an already existing gig portfolio. But it's certainly no pillar app. So I guess you could call it more like a support app for the pillar app rather than just a pillar app. I really wish I could grade it higher because I like the system itself, but damn. Again, however, I do hear that in metro markets it does really well and it is absolutely worth it, but I just haven't experienced that for myself. Did I miss anything as far as my review on Grubhub? Is there something else somebody should know before signing up to Grubhub? Let me know in the comments. Let's make sure anybody and everybody who's thinking about hopping on Grubhub knows anything they need to know before hopping on, because I think that we need to be more supportive to each other as gig workers. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.